The autumn air carried roasted chestnut sweetness through the courtyard of Hanyang University, golden leaves spiraling lazily from the trees above. The sun dipped low, bathing the campus in amber light. Students sprawled across the grass, their chatter bright and chaotic, fueled by cheap soju and the thrill of youth. In the center of it all sat Tosen Ji-hi, cross-legged, her notebook half open but forgotten. Her sleek bun swayed slightly as the breeze teased it, her dark skin glowing in the fading light. 3 months in Seoul, and still, the city often felt like a stage where she didn't know her lines. Her Korean was functional, her confidence steady, but she never stopped noticing the stares. Different. Always different. Final round! Han Junha shouted, his grin mischievous, his voice too loud. Truth or dare? Phones lifted instantly. The group, 20 students sprawled in a circle on the lawn, buzzed with expectation. Tosen sighed, already dreading the attention. This game is ridiculous, she muttered under her breath. Sho, Mina Park, her pink-haired best friend, poked her side. Don't act like you're above it. This is how we survive university, chaos and embarrassment. The bottle spun, slowed, stopped. It pointed directly at Tosen. The crowd roared. Yes, the transfer student. Junha leaned forward, eyes gleaming. Truth or dare? Tosen weighed her options. If she picked truth, she'd be forced to reveal something humiliating. Earlier, she'd already confessed to having her first crush at 14, fuel for endless teasing. No, not again. Dare, she said, her voice firm though her heart stuttered. Perfect, Junha drawled, stretching the suspense like a showman. He pointed dramatically at the pathway, just outside the circle. I dare you to kiss the first stranger who walks by. Gasps. Laughter. Cheers. What? Tosen's accent thickened, outrage slipping free. A dare is a dare, Junha teased. Unless you're scared. The word cut like a blade. Scared. Pride bristled. Tosen's father's words echoed in her memory. The world is wider than your street, Tosen. Go and see it. She straightened her spine. Fine, she muttered. I'll do it. The crowd erupted. Phones lifted higher. Everyone wanted proof. She stepped out of the circle, brushing grass from her jeans, nerves twisting her stomach. Footsteps approached down the path. Tosen turned, then froze. A black van rolled up to the gates. Security fanned out in sharp suits. The man who emerged was unmistakable, tall, jawline cut from glass, every step carrying the weight of 1,000 stages. His black coat shimmered under the fading light. Cameras clicked furiously as reporters swarmed. Ji-hun, J1, Korea's hottest K-pop idol, the nation's boyfriend. The students gasped. Even Mina clutched her arm. Oh my God! Tosen, that's him! Her pulse thundered. Turn back, her mind screamed. But dozens of phones recorded, eyes burning into her back. She couldn't. Step by step, she closed the distance. Ji-hun's dark gaze found hers, sharp and assessing. Security tensed. Reporters shouted. Before her courage could collapse, Tosen rose on tiptoe, grabbed his lapel, and pressed her lips to his. Welcome to Moonlit Stories, where moonlight meets myth. Love timeless tales. Then hit like, subscribe, and join the circle. Every story begins with you. Gasps shattered the air. Flashbulbs exploded like fireworks, and Seoul itself seemed to stop breathing. For a moment, nothing moved. The cameras stuttered in their flash, reporters froze mid-step, and even Ji-hun himself went still, as if Seoul had collectively forgotten how to breathe. Tosen's lips lingered against his just long enough for the world to capture it from every possible angle. Then reality slammed back. Ji-hun's hand shot up, gripping her shoulders with surprising strength, peeling her away as though she had burned him. Gasps and shrieks erupted across the courtyard. Did you see that? Someone screamed. She kissed J1, another cried. Omo! Record this! Microphones were shoved forward. Cameras zoomed. Questions fired like bullets. Ji-hun, is this your girlfriend? Are you dating in secret? Who is she? Is she foreign? Ji-hun's jaw clenched. His gaze, cold, unreadable, locked on Tosen. For a fraction of a second, something like shock flickered across his sharp features. But then, with the precision of a man trained to perform, he turned to his manager. We're done here, he said flatly. His security closed ranks immediately, blocking the reporters, forming a wall of black suits. Ji-hun brushed past Tosen without another word, his coat slicing through the air like the end of a chapter. In seconds, the idol and his entourage disappeared into the van. The silence that followed was deafening. Then chaos. Students rushed forward, phones still recording. Mina shoved through them, grabbing Tosen's arm. "Are you out of your mind?" Tosen's chest rose and fell rapidly, her pulse refusing to calm. It was a dare," she stammered, her voice trembling. "I didn't know." "You kissed Kang Ji-hun," Mina hissed. "The most famous idol in Korea. Do you have any idea what you've just done?" Tosen's throat went dry. She had thought it would be some random jogger, some nameless stranger. Not him. Definitely not him. Already, notifications buzzed furiously on every phone around them. Students shouted over one another. "She ruined his image." "No, maybe it's a publicity stunt." "She's gorgeous, though. Did you see her skin? That confidence." "Foreign. She's definitely foreign. Where's she from?" By the time Tosen stumbled back to her dorm that night, the internet had done what the internet always did, turned her into a headline. Breaking. Jaewon's first public kiss, mystery foreign girl identified as Hanyang University student. Nation's boyfriend no more? Who is Tosen Ji-hi? Her phone buzzed with non-stop notifications. Comments flooded every platform. Some called her bold. Others called her a liar, a clout chaser worse. Memes spread like wildfire. Screenshots of the kiss looped endlessly. Mina sat cross-legged on Tosen's bed, scrolling furiously. "Girl, this isn't gossip. This is national. International. Do you understand? Jaewon's image is sacred. His fans," she paused, glancing up nervously. "They don't play." Tosen dropped her face into her hands, muffling a groan. She had come to Seoul for her degree, to chase her father's words. The world is wider than your street. Not to cause an international scandal. But deep down, beneath the panic, one thought gnawed at her. The way Ji-hun had looked at her. Not like a stranger. Not like a fan. Like someone who had been caught off guard for the very first time. And she wasn't sure which terrified her more, his glare, or the fact that she wanted to see it again. Seoul's skyline glittered like a jeweled crown that night, but in one glass tower, the air was anything but beautiful. Inside the penthouse offices of Aurora Entertainment, Kang Ji-hun sat at the head of a long mahogany table, his posture immaculate, his expression unreadable. He was dressed down compared to his usual stage self, black sweater, tailored slacks, but his presence filled the room like a storm. His manager, Kang Min-ho, slid a tablet across the table. On the screen, headlines, screenshots, and a viral video that had already amassed millions of views. The kiss. That kiss. The story has spread too fast, Min-ho said grimly. Hashtags are trending worldwide. Hashtag J1Kiss. Hashtag Who is she? Even hashtag Nation Betrayed. If we don't act, the scandal could derail the comeback. Ji-hun's jaw tightened. He hated how the world reduced him to hashtags, as though he were a product instead of a man. Still, image was currency. And this foreign girl, what was her name again? Tosen Ji-hi, had detonated a bomb in the middle of his carefully constructed empire. "Find her," Ji-hun said. His voice was quiet, but it cut through the room like a blade. Min-ho hesitated. "And once we do," Ji-hun's eyes flicked up, sharp as glass. "Bring her to me." Across town, Tosen sat curled on her dorm bed, phone buzzing endlessly. She scrolled helplessly through the comments. She's clout chasing. Why would he let her touch him? She's not even Korean. Each word burrowed deeper, but she forced herself to breathe. She couldn't call her mother in Lagos. Couldn't burden her with this madness. Instead, she whispered her father's mantra. The world is wider than your street. Mina burst through the door, pink hair bouncing as she slammed it shut behind her. Her eyes were wide, panicked. "Tosen, you need to hide." "What?" "There are men in suits downstairs, asking for you." Tosen's blood ran cold. Men in suits. Ji-hun's men. Mina grabbed her wrist, fingers trembling. "Don't go with them. They'll eat you alive." Before Tosen could respond, the sound of heavy footsteps echoed down the hallway. A sharp knock rattled her door. "Miss Tosen Ji-hi," a deep voice called in accented English. "Our boss requests your presence. Refusal is not an option." Mina's grip tightened. Don't open it. But Tosen's pride, reckless, stubborn, flared. She would not cower, not here. She pulled free gently, her voice steady despite the hammering in her chest. I'll be fine. She opened the door. 2 tall men in dark coats stood waiting. One bowed slightly. Please come with us. Tosen hesitated only a heartbeat. Then, chin lifted, she stepped into the hallway. The black car ride was silent, Seoul's neon flashing across tinted glass. Her palms were damp, her throat dry. When the car finally stopped, she was ushered into a cavernous room. At the far end, beneath a chandelier, stood Ji-hun. His eyes caught hers immediately, sharp and unreadable. The bodyguards closed the doors, leaving them alone. You wanted to see me? Tosen forced her voice to sound calm. Ji-hun's lips curved, not in a smile, but in something colder. He walked toward her slowly, deliberately, every step measured. You, he said, voice low and edged, owe me an explanation. The silence in the room was sharp enough to cut. Tosen stood just inside the door, her hands clenched by her sides, trying to summon courage from places she didn't know she had. Ji-hun, Korea's golden idol, moved closer with the grace of someone who had lived his entire life under scrutiny. Every step echoed against the polished floor, pulling the space tighter around her. You owe me an explanation, he repeated, his voice calm but dangerous, like the moment before a storm. Tosen swallowed hard, lifting her chin. It was the dare. Ji-hun's brows arched ever so slightly. A dare? Yes. Her voice shook, but she refused to falter. We were playing a game. Truth or dare. I didn't know who you were until I was already walking toward you. If I had known, you wouldn't have done it, he finished, eyes narrowing. Exactly, Tosen said quickly. For a long moment, he studied her, dark eyes searching her face as though he could peel back her skin and find the truth hidden underneath. Most people, he knew, lied to him. But there was something in her gaze, honesty, maybe even defiance, that stopped him short. Still, his voice dropped lower, colder. You expect me to believe you risked destroying my reputation, my career, just for a game? I didn't mean to, Tosen said, her voice rising with frustration. I didn't even know who you were. Ji-hun's lips twitched at the corner, not a smile but a hard line. And yet here we are. The entire world is whispering about you. About us. Her chest tightened. Then just tell them the truth. Tell them it meant nothing. That I was nobody. He stepped closer, until the heat of his presence pressed against her like a weight. His scent, clean cedar and something sharper, swirled around her. Too late, he murmured. They've already written the story. Now we have to act it out. Tosen frowned, confusion flickering. What are you talking about? Ji-hun's eyes locked onto hers, steady and unblinking. You will pretend to be my girlfriend. The words hit her like a slap. What? The media thinks you're mine. Fine. Let them. Until the storm dies down, you'll play the role. That's insane. Tosen snapped, anger replacing her fear. I can't. I won't. Ji-hun leaned even closer, his gaze sharp enough to pin her in place. You don't have a choice. Her breath caught. Excuse me. His jaw tightened. Either you agree, or I'll make sure your life here becomes impossible. Your scholarship, your classes, your housing, all of it. Seoul can be very unkind to outsiders. Her pulse hammered, so loudly she could hear it in her ears. The threat wasn't shouted. It was delivered softly, with terrifying certainty. She wanted to scream at him, to storm out, but her pride, and her survival, held her still. Finally, she whispered, You can't just... Choose wisely, Tosen. His voice was final, cold as steel. Your time starts now. By the time Tosen stumbled back into her dorm room, the weight of Ji-hun's ultimatum pressed down on her like a stone. She shut the door, leaning against it, her chest heaving as though she had sprinted across Seoul. Mina sprang up from her desk chair, eyes wide, pink hair a wild halo. You're back. Oh my God, Tosen, what happened? Did they hurt you? Did he? Tosen raised a trembling hand. No, not hurt, just threatened. Mina froze. Threatened? By who? Jae-won himself. Tosen let out a bitter laugh that cracked halfway through. Yes, Korea's golden boy, your nation's angel, told me if I don't play along, He'll ruin my life. Mina's jaw dropped. Play along. What does that even mean? Tosen collapsed onto the bed, burying her face in her hands. He wants me to pretend to be his girlfriend. Publicly. For the media. Like I'm some prop in his PR drama. Mina blinked, then let out a shriek so loud Tosen clutched a pillow to her ears. Are you crazy? You said yes. I didn't say yes. Tosen groaned into the pillow. But what choice did I have? He said he'd destroy my scholarship, Mina. Deport me, even. I can't fight someone like him. He owns the city. Mina flopped onto the bed beside her, dramatic as ever. Girl, you're living in a K-drama, except it's not swoony and fun. It's the scary mafia idol version. Do you even realize how dangerous this is? Tosen sat up, her eyes red but blazing. I didn't ask for any of this. I came here to study, to graduate, to make my father proud. Not to, her voice cracked, not to be turned into some fake girlfriend for a man who doesn't even like me. Mina softened, reaching for her hand. Hey, I know. But listen, maybe this doesn't have to be the end of the world. Maybe you can just ride it out. Keep your head down. Survive. Tosen's laugh was hollow. Survive? Have you seen the internet? My face is everywhere. Headlines, comments, memes. I can't even walk across campus without whispers stabbing me in the back. As if summoned, her phone buzzed on the desk. She grabbed it, scrolling through the endless storm. Who does she think she is? Foreign clout chaser. She's pretty though bold too. Ji-hun deserves better. Her stomach churned. For every compliment, there were 10 insults. And the worst part, she was powerless to stop it. Don't read them, Mina said softly. People are cruel when they can hide behind screens. But Tosen couldn't stop. Her eyes were glued to the chaos, her name trending beside Ji-hun's like some twisted fate. Finally, she dropped the phone, pressing her palms to her eyes. This isn't my life, she whispered. It can't be. But outside, the campus gates were already swarming with reporters. Paparazzi, lenses glinted in the dark. And upstairs, behind the safety of tinted windows, Tosen's face glowed on Ji-hun's phone screen too. His jaw tightened as he scrolled, watching the storm he had unleashed. And for the first time, he wondered if he had underestimated her fire. The following morning, campus buzzed like a hive on fire. Whispers swirled in every hallway, every classroom. Students huddled over their phones, showing each other screenshots and video clips that looped endlessly. Tosen kissing Ji-hun, Ji-hun's glare, the black vans. By lunch, Tosen could barely breathe under the weight of the stairs. In the cafeteria, conversations hushed whenever she passed. That's her, Ji-hun's mystery girlfriend. She's not even Korean. She's stunning, though. Look at that skin. Tosen gritted her teeth, clutching her tray. She just wanted to eat in peace, to be invisible. But invisibility had slipped from her like a discarded coat the moment she touched his lapel. Mina leaned across the table, whispering furiously. Okay, don't freak out, but there are reporters outside the gates. With cameras. Like, professional grade. They're literally waiting for you. Tosen's fork froze midair. Waiting for me. Mina nodded grimly. Word is out that you're Ji-hun's girlfriend. Everyone wants a picture, a soundbite, anything. Girl, you are Seoul's hottest news item. Before Tosen could reply, a commotion erupted near the entrance. Heads turned. Gasps rippled across the cafeteria. A sleek black Ben had pulled up just outside the glass doors. Security men stepped out first, scanning the area. And then he appeared, Kang Ji-hun, dressed in a sharp black suit. His presence commanded silence even before his voice did. His eyes swept the crowd like a searchlight until they landed squarely on Tosen. Her stomach dropped. Whispers burst like firecrackers. No way, he came for her. J1. At our campus. She's so lucky or cursed. Ji-hun strode in, ignoring the gawking students and flashing phones. He stopped directly in front of Tosen's table, every eye glued to the scene. Miss Tosen, one of his bodyguards announced in practiced English. Your escort has arrived. Tosen's face burned. She wanted to melt into the floor, but Ji-hun's gaze pinned her in place. He extended a hand, not tender, not romantic, but an order in disguise. Her chest tightened. Refusal would mean humiliation, maybe worse. Slowly, With every nerve screaming, she placed her trembling hand in his. The cafeteria erupted. Phones clicked furiously. Students whispered, screamed, laughed. Mina's mouth hung open, frozen in disbelief as Ji-hun led Tosen toward the doors, her hand swallowed in his unyielding grip. Outside, the paparazzi descended like vultures. Ji-hun, Ji-hun, is she really your girlfriend? What's her name? How long have you been dating? Is this serious? Ji-hun didn't flinch. With cold precision, he wrapped an arm around Tosen's waist and pulled her close, shielding her from the flashing lights. Thank you so much for staying with us till this very point in the story. If you're enjoying it, please don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and leave a comment below. We'd love to hear the lessons you learned from this story and your thoughts on how we can keep improving to bring you the very best. Tosen stiffened, her body thrumming with fury and fear. She hissed under her breath, "What are you doing?" "Acting," Ji-hun murmured without looking at her. His lips barely moved. "Smile." Her heart hammered. "I'm not your puppet." His lips curved into the faintest smirk. "You are, until the storm dies down." And just like that, the cameras captured everything, the closeness, the tension, the illusion of intimacy. By the time Ji-hun guided her into the black van, the headlines were already writing themselves. Nation's boyfriend no more, J1 goes public with mystery girlfriend. And Tosen realized, with dread curling deep in her stomach, that this was only the beginning. The restaurant's glass facade glittered under Seoul's neon sky, drawing crowds the way honey drew bees. Reporters clustered outside, their cameras flashing relentlessly. Inside, chandeliers dripped with golden light over tables lined with Seoul's most powerful elites. When Ji-hun's black van pulled up, the air outside thickened with frenzy. Shouts pierced the night. "Ji-hun! Ji-hun, over here! Is this your girlfriend?" Smile for the cameras. The moment Tosen stepped out, every flash turned to her. She froze, her sleek bun catching the glow, her ebony skin radiant beneath the harsh lights. Ji-hun slid out after her, his hand settling firmly at the small of her back, guiding her forward like they'd rehearsed it 100 times. The crowd gasped, their excitement echoing against the city walls. Tosen stiffened, leaning toward him. "You don't have to hold me like I'm property." "On the contrary," Ji-hun murmured without breaking stride. "If I don't, they'll eat you alive." They moved through the chaos, every step choreographed by necessity. By the time they entered the private booth at the far end of the restaurant, Tosen's nerves were raw. The waiter poured wine, bowed, and vanished. Silence pressed between them, thick and suffocating. Tosen finally exploded. "Do you even hear yourself? Do you realize how insane this is? You're using me like some prop in your media circus." Ji-hun leaned back casually, swirling his glass of wine. "Better to be my prop than my enemy." Her fists clenched on the table. "You're unbelievable." His dark eyes flicked up, pinning her in place. "And you're reckless. Do you think anyone else could kiss me in public and still be breathing right now? You're alive because I decided you're useful." The words stung more than she expected. Tosen's chest tightened with anger and humiliation. "Useful," she spat. "I'm not a tool for you to manipulate." Ji-hun's smirk faded. He leaned forward slowly, his elbows resting on the table. "Then prove you're not." The challenge hung in the air, charged and dangerous. Tosen's breath hitched. Her lips parted, ready to throw back some fiery retort, but her voice caught when his gaze flickered briefly downward to her mouth before snapping back to her eyes. Her pulse raced. She hated him. She feared him. And yet, something deeper, something she couldn't name, pulled at her. Finally, her voice trembled with raw honesty. "Why? Why do you hate women so much?" For the first time, Ji-hun's expression cracked. His jaw tightened, eyes darkening with shadows from a past he never spoke of. Silence stretched between them. Then, softly but firmly, he said, "Don't ask questions you can't handle the answers to." Before Tosen could reply, Ji-hun leaned across the table, closing the distance in a heartbeat. His lips pressed against hers, this time not by accident, not by dare, but by choice. The kiss was deliberate, fierce, a claim in front of no cameras, no crowd. Tosen's body froze, then betrayed her, leaning in despite her mind screaming no. Her hands trembled against the polished table. When he finally pulled back, his breath was uneven, his eyes unreadable. Tosen's voice came out as a whisper. "Why did you do that?" Ji-hun's lips curved faintly. "Because if we're going to lie to the world, we may as well make it convincing." The cafeteria buzzed louder than usual the next day. Trays clattered, conversations bounced off the walls, and laughter rose in sharp bursts. But the noise wasn't about midterms or weekend plans. It was about Tosen. She sat tucked in the farthest corner, her tray untouched, Mina perched beside her like a protective hawk. Even from across the room, Tosen felt the stares. Students leaned in close, whispering without shame. "That's her, right? The girl in the restaurant photos." She kissed him again. "It's all over Dispatch." "Honestly, why her? She's not even Korean. She's just a toy. He'll drop her when he's done." The laughter that followed cut deeper than any knife. Tosen's grip tightened on her spoon until her knuckles whitened. She tried to block it out, but the venom in their voices coiled around her, heavy and suffocating. Mina slammed her tray down, her voice rising above the noise. "Don't listen to them. They're jealous. You're glowing, babe. Absolutely glowing." Tosen offered a weak smile, but her chest burned with frustration. She hadn't asked for this. She hadn't asked to be thrust into the spotlight, to be branded as Ji-hun's girlfriend. And she certainly hadn't asked for the kiss that still haunted her lips. Her phone buzzed for the 100th time. More headlines. More speculation. More strangers tearing her apart. Tosen shoved it back into her bag, blinking back the sting in her eyes. By the time she left her last lecture, she was exhausted, her shoulders heavy with whispers. But the real storm waited outside. A sleek black van idled at the curb, its tinted windows impossible to ignore. Students gathered instantly, their voices rising in shock and excitement. "It's him," someone squealed. "Ji-hun's here." The door opened, and there he was. Kang Ji-hun, flawless, untouchable, dressed in black like a shadow carved from starlight. His bodyguards flanked him, scanning the crowd, but his eyes went straight to Tosen. Her breath caught. Gasps rippled through the students as he strode toward her, ignoring everyone else. Phones clicked furiously, capturing every step. He stopped right in front of her, his gaze sharp and commanding. Before she could react, his fingers closed firmly around her wrist. "Come," he said quietly, his voice low but absolute. Tosen yanked lightly, panic flaring. "What are you doing?" "Everyone's watching." "Good," Ji-hun replied, his tone steady, unyielding. "Let them." And with that, he led her through the crowd, cameras flashing like fireworks. Students whispered, screamed, laughed, but none dared block his path. Inside the van, Tosen tore her wrist free, her eyes blazing. "You can't just drag me around like I'm your possession." Ji-hun didn't look at her, his gaze fixed on the city lights racing past the window. "You are mine," he said evenly. "At least to the world. That was the deal." Her chest rose and fell with fury. "I'm not yours. I'm not a shield for your reputation. I'm a human being." For a long moment, silence. Then Ji-hun's jaw flexed, his voice quieter. "You matter more than you should." Tosen's anger faltered, replaced by confusion, fear, and something far more dangerous. Because in that moment, she couldn't tell if he was acting anymore. The van hummed softly as it sped through Seoul's glittering streets. Tosen sat pressed against the leather seat, arms folded, every muscle tight with anger. Ji-hun stared out the window, his reflection a polished statue unreadable. Finally, she broke the silence. "Why me?" Ji-hun didn't turn his head. Tosen's voice grew sharper. "Out of all the women in Korea, models, idols, actresses, why force me into this? Why not just deny it and move on?" The question hung in the air. For a long moment, only the muffled sounds of traffic filled the space. Then Ji-hun turned, his dark eyes locking onto hers. "Because you didn't choose me." Tosen blinked. "What?" "Everyone else does," he said evenly. "They want the idol, the fame, the perfection. They choose the image." His jaw tightened, the faintest bitterness creeping into his tone. "But you? You didn't know who I was. You walked up to me without fear, without hesitation. You kissed me when the entire country bows at the thought of me. That makes you dangerous." Tosen's breath caught. Dangerous? She was just trying to survive a dare, trying to finish her degree. But the way he said it made her pulse race. I'm not dangerous, she said quietly. I'm just a student. Ji-hun leaned back, his gaze still fixed on her. And yet here you are, rewriting my entire career narrative with one kiss. Tosen's lips pressed into a thin line. She wanted to argue, to tell him she wanted no part of his glittering, suffocating world. But deep inside, something stirred, a recognition that he was admitting more than he intended. The van slowed to a stop outside a luxury apartment complex, its glass walls gleaming against the night sky. Paparazzi lights flared instantly, cameras waiting like predators. Ji-hun's bodyguards moved into position. One opened the door. Ji-hun turned back to her, his expression sliding back into cool professionalism. Smile, Tosen. They're watching. Her jaw clenched. I'm not your puppet. His lips curved faintly, almost a smirk. Then don't smile for me. Smile for yourself. Make them choke on it. The cameras erupted as Ji-hun stepped out, his hand extending toward her again. Tosen hesitated, then took it, her chin lifted high. If she was going to be forced into the spotlight, she would not look broken. Flashbulbs exploded, capturing the sharp lines of Ji-hun's face and the fire in Tosen's eyes. Together, they looked like a storm, terrifying, magnetic, unstoppable. Inside, Ji-hun led her into the private elevator. For the first time since the kiss, Tosen allowed herself to exhale. But as the elevator doors closed, Ji-hun's gaze lingered on her a moment too long. You still don't get it, he murmured, almost to himself. You're the first person in years who makes me forget I'm supposed to be perfect. Tosen froze. The doors slid shut, sealing them inside with those dangerous words. And for the first time, she wondered if she was the one being pulled into his world, or if he was being dragged into hers. The ballroom shimmered like a jeweled palace. Crystal chandeliers spilled light across marble floors, and Seoul's elite glittered in designer gowns and sharp tuxedos. Paparazzi clustered outside the hotel entrance, their cameras hungry for every second of Ji-hun's appearance. Tosen adjusted the hem of the borrowed gown Mina had somehow conjured, a sapphire silk dress that clung to her frame and highlighted the proud tilt of her chin. Her sleek bun gleamed under the lights, and her ebony skin glowed like polished bronze. But her stomach churned with nerves. This is insane, she whispered as Ji-hun stepped out of the car beside her, his hand already reaching for hers. Breathe, he murmured, his expression flawless, his smile practiced for the flashing bulbs. Weakness is blood in the water. Don't give it to them. She shot him a glare, but before she could retort, the cameras flared. Reporters shouted questions. Microphones thrust forward. Ji-hun, is this your girlfriend? Who is she? Is this serious? Ji-hun didn't falter. With deliberate precision, he slid an arm around Tosen's waist, pulling her close as though she belonged there. The crowd gasped, their frenzy captured in 1,000 photos. Tosen's heart pounded, but she forced herself to keep her head high, her lips curling into the faintest, most defiant smile. Inside, the whispers began immediately. Foreign, at a gala. She's beautiful, but she doesn't belong here. He's ruining his image. Tosen's fists clenched at her sides. She wanted to disappear, but Ji-hun's hand tightened around hers, anchoring her. Relax, he murmured, lips near her ear. They'll eat you alive if you show them fear. Then maybe you shouldn't hold my hand like this, she whispered back. His smirk deepened. Oh no, I'll hold it tighter. Let them choke on it. They hadn't made it halfway across the room before a tall woman in a glittering gold gown glided toward them, confidence radiating like perfume. Seo Ji-hi, actress, brand darling, and Ji-hun's most public almost lover. Ji-hun, she purred, her hand brushing his sleeve like it belonged there. It's been too long. I didn't know you were bringing company. Her eyes slid to Tosen, sharp and assessing, before dismissing her with a flicker of disdain. Ji-hun's jaw tightened. Step back, Ji-hi. Ji-hi's smile didn't falter. She won't last. They never do. Heat rushed to Tosen's cheeks. She opened her mouth, ready to defend herself, but Ji-hun's arms suddenly wrapped around her waist, pulling her flush against him. She's not like the others, he said coldly. His eyes never left Ji-hi's, sharp as a blade. Don't waste your time. And then, without warning, he kissed Tosen. It wasn't soft. It wasn't tentative. It was possessive, commanding, the kind of kiss that silenced a ballroom. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Cameras flashed like lightning. Tosen's hands trembled, but against her will, she kissed him back. For a split second, the world dissolved, just his heat, his strength, his mouth claiming hers. When Ji-hun finally pulled away, his eyes burned with something unreadable. "Now," he murmured against her lips, "they all know." Back in the sleek black van, the city lights of Seoul blurred past like streaks of neon fire. Tosen sat rigid, arms crossed tightly over her chest. Her lips still tingled from the kiss, but her heart thudded with fury. "What was that?" she snapped, breaking the silence. Ji-hun, seated opposite her, was a picture of calm perfection. He tugged at his cufflink before meeting her glare. "Strategy. Strategy," she echoed, her voice rising. "You humiliated me in front of an entire ballroom. You used me like a prop." Ji-hun's lips curved faintly. Better a prop than a casualty. Ji-hi needed to know her place. The industry needed proof. "Tonight, you gave it to them." Tosen's hands clenched into fists. "You can't just decide to kiss me whenever it suits your narrative. I'm not part of your script." His smirk faded, his gaze sharpening. "You're alive in this world because I decided you're useful. Don't mistake survival for freedom." Her chest tightened, anger and confusion tangling until she could hardly breathe. "Useful," she repeated bitterly. "That's all I am to you? A shield against your scandals?" Ji-hun leaned forward slightly, his voice low but deliberate. "You think I do this lightly? You think I let anyone near me? Do you have any idea how long I've kept this distance? No one touches me. No one dares." His eyes glinted in the dim light. "And yet you kiss me. Unafraid. Reckless. Different." The words caught Tosen off guard. Her lips parted, but no sound came. For a moment, silence crackled between them, charged and dangerous. Finally, she whispered, "Why me?" Ji-hun's jaw tightened, as if the answer cost him something. "Because you make me forget the mask." Her heart stuttered. "The mask?" He looked away, out the tinted window where Seoul's skyline shimmered. "The idol. The perfection. The product they sell. I wear it so often I forget what's real." "But you—" He stopped, shaking his head slightly, as if he'd said too much. Tosen leaned forward, her voice softer now. "You kissed me, Ji-hun. Not for them. Not for strategy. For you." His gaze snapped back to her, fire and ice colliding in his eyes. "Don't fool yourself. Everything I do is calculated." But his tone betrayed him. She could hear the crack in his armor, the thread of truth he didn't want to admit. Tosen leaned back, crossing her arms again, though her chest ached with questions she wasn't ready to ask. If everything was calculated, then why had his hands trembled against her waist? Why had his eyes darkened with something more than performance? As the van pulled into her dormitory gates, students swarmed with phones raised, capturing every glimpse of her and Ji-hun together. Ji-hun leaned close, his voice barely above a whisper. "Remember," Tosen smiled. "They can't know the difference between acting and reality." But as she stepped out into the storm of cameras, Tosen realized the most terrifying truth of all. She couldn't tell the difference anymore either. The glow of her phone screen cut through the darkness of Tosen's dorm room. Mina was asleep in the other bed, breathing softly, but Tosen couldn't close her eyes. Her notifications refused to stop buzzing. She scrolled through the endless storm of messages and comments. At first, it had been gossip, memes, and speculation. But tonight, the tone had shifted. "Go back to where you came from. You're ruining him. You'll never be one of us. If you don't leave him, we'll make you." Her hands trembled. One message came with a photo, her own face cropped from a campus candid, a red X drawn across it. Tosen's breath caught. She dropped the phone as though it had burned her. The room felt smaller suddenly, the shadows heavier. She pressed her palms to her face, whispering, "This can't be my life. This isn't what I came here for." Morning didn't bring relief. When Tosen stepped out of her dorm, whispers stabbed at her from every direction. Students stared openly, some in awe, some in contempt. The news cycle had latched onto her like a parasite. Headlines screamed, "Who is Tosen Ji-hi? J once foreign flame." Fan base divided. love or hate for Ji-hun's girlfriend. Her stomach twisted. Each step toward class felt like a walk across hot coals. That evening, as Tosen returned to her dorm, a sleek black car pulled up. Her pulse spiked. Ji-hun. Again. The door opened, and there he was, sharp in a charcoal suit, sunglasses shielding his eyes even in the fading light. Students gathered instantly, phones clicking. Tosen, one of the bodyguards, said firmly, "Your escort has arrived." She wanted to scream, to run, to tell Ji-hun that she couldn't keep doing this. But her pride rooted her in place. Slowly, she climbed into the car. Inside, the air was tense, electric. Ji-hun removed his sunglasses, his gaze locking on her. "You look pale." Tosen let out a humorless laugh. "Maybe because your fans want me dead?" His expression hardened instantly. "Show me." She hesitated, then shoved her phone at him. He scrolled, his jaw tightening with every vile message. When he reached the photo with the red X, his grip on the phone trembled. For once, the mask slipped. "Do you see now?" Tosen whispered. "This is my life because of you." Ji-hun's voice was low, deadly. "No, this is my fault, and I'll handle it." She blinked, startled by the edge in his tone. "Handle it how?" He leaned forward, his eyes dark and fierce. "By making sure no one touches you. No one threatens you. Not while you're with me." Tosen's chest tightened. For the first time, his words didn't sound like a command or a performance. They sounded like a promise, and that terrified her more than the threats ever could. The car glided through Seoul's glittering night until it slowed before a towering glass high-rise. Its mirrored windows reflected the city lights like fire caught in crystal. Tosen's stomach flipped as the gates opened and security bowed them inside. "Where are we?" she asked, her voice sharper than she intended. "My home," Ji-hun said simply. "Home." The words sounded strange on his lips, too ordinary for someone who seemed larger than life. They stepped out into a private underground entrance where cameras couldn't reach. The elevator ride was silent, tense. When the doors opened, Tosen found herself stepping into another world. The penthouse was sleek and cavernous, all glass walls and polished steel. Seoul glittered in every direction, but inside it was quiet. Too quiet. Tosen's eyes swept across the space. No family photos, no clutter, just immaculate furniture and the faint hum of expensive appliances. It felt less like a home and more like a museum, beautiful but empty. Ji-hun shrugged off his jacket and loosened his tie, his movements deliberate. "You'll stay here until things calm down. It's safer than your dorm." Tosen bristled. "Safer, maybe. But this isn't a hotel, and I'm not your guest." His eyes flicked to her, sharp. "You're right. You're not a guest. You're someone the entire country wants answers about. Keeping you here means I control the story and your safety." The words pricked at her pride. "Control," she echoed bitterly. "That's all this is to you." Ji-hun's lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. "Control is survival." Tosen turned away, moving toward the floor-to-ceiling windows. The city stretched endlessly below, neon lights pulsing like veins. She pressed her hand against the cool glass, suddenly small in this giant, glittering world. "You live up here," she said softly, almost to herself. "Above everything. Alone." Ji-hun's steps were quiet as he joined her, his reflection ghosting beside hers in the glass. "Alone is safer." Tosen turned to him, her voice steady despite the thundering of her heart. "Safer maybe, but emptier too." Something flickered in his expression, a crack in the mask. His jaw tightened as though he wanted to argue, but no words came. Instead, he moved past her, pulling open a sleek cabinet. He placed her phone on the counter. "Security will monitor your messages. No more threats will reach you directly." Tosen crossed her arms, her chin lifting. "You can block messages, Ji-hun, but you can't block people's hate." He met her gaze, eyes dark and steady. "Then I'll shield you from it." The conviction in his tone startled her. For a fleeting moment, she didn't see Korea's most untouchable idol. She saw a man, lonely, protective, dangerous in ways that went beyond fame. Her chest tightened, torn between wanting to escape and wanting to know him more. And for the first time, the penthouse didn't feel like a prison. It felt like a secret, one she wasn't sure she should be holding. The penthouse was silent, but Tosen couldn't sleep. She lay curled on the edge of the guest bed, the city lights flickering through the curtains like restless fireflies. Every creak of the apartment reminded her she wasn't in her dorm. She was in his world now, trapped in glass walls high above Seoul. A soft sound pulled her from her thoughts. Music. Faint, rhythmic, muffled. Curious, Tosen slipped out of bed and padded barefoot into the hall. The sound grew louder, pulsing like a heartbeat. She followed it to a door slightly ajar. Pushing it open, she found herself standing at the edge of a private rehearsal studio, mirrors lining the walls, polished wood floor gleaming under soft lights. There, in the center, was Ji-hun. Sweat drenched his black shirt, plastering it to his frame as he moved with sharp, flawless precision. Every step, every turn, every strike of his hand cut through the air with power and control. But there was no music video crew, no screaming fans, no cameras, just him, alone. Tosen watched as he stumbled slightly on a turn, caught himself, and went again, harder, sharper. His jaw clenched with frustration. His movements weren't about performance anymore. They were about punishment. When the music cut, Ji-hun bent over, hands braced on his knees, breath ragged. "You should be asleep," he said without looking at her. Tosen stepped hesitantly into the room. "So should you." His reflection in the mirror was sharp, eyes shadowed, hair plastered to his forehead. "Sleep doesn't come easy." She tilted her head. "Insomnia." He didn't answer, just grabbed a towel and wiped his face, avoiding her gaze. "You push yourself like this every night?" Tosen asked softly. "Every night," he admitted, voice clipped. "If I don't, I fall behind. And if I fall behind, I disappear. Perfection is the only currency in my world." Tosen's chest ached at the flatness in his tone. She looked around at the mirrored walls, the empty space. This isn't perfection. This is punishment. Finally, his eyes met hers through the mirror. For a moment, she saw something raw, something broken. "They don't see me," he murmured. "They see J1, the idol, the fantasy, the perfect sun, the perfect star. If I stop being that, even for a second, I'm nothing." Tosen stepped closer, her voice steady. "You're not nothing. You're human." The words seemed to shake him. His lips parted as though he wanted to respond, but no sound came. Instead, he dropped the towel, his shoulders tense, his mask sliding back into place. "You should go back to bed," he said curtly. Tosen lingered in the doorway, watching him retreat into silence. For the first time, she saw the man beneath the idol, the one Soul never got to see. And as she returned to her room, her heart pounded with a dangerous realization. The more she glimpsed behind his mask, the harder it would be to keep her own defenses intact. The morning headlines hit like a slap. Tosen sat at Ji-hun's penthouse breakfast table, staring at the tablet his manager, Kang Min-ho, had dropped in front of them. "Mystery girlfriend exposed. Is she using J1 for fame?" Anonymous source claims Tosen demanded money to stay silent. Ji-hun's reputation at risk amid dating scandal. Her stomach knotted as she scrolled further. Screenshots of fabricated chats, blurred photos that looked nothing like her, and exclusive interviews with unnamed insiders litter the feeds. "This isn't real," Tosen whispered, her hands trembling. "I never said any of this." Ji-hun's jaw was tight, his lips pressed into a thin line. Min-ho cleared his throat. "Seo Ji-hi's agency has been feeding stories to the press. She's been quiet since the gala, but this," he tapped the screen, "this has her fingerprints all over it." Tosen's chest burned. "So she just lies, and the whole country believes her?" Min-ho gave her a look of pity. "In this industry, perception is truth. And Ji-hi is adored. People want to believe her." Ji-hun's hand curled into a fist on the table. "Enough," he said, his voice low but seething. "She won't destroy you to hurt me." Tosen stared at him, stunned by the conviction in his tone. "You don't understand," she said softly. "Your fans already hate me. This just gives them more fuel. They'll never stop." His gaze snapped to hers, dark and intense. "Then let them try. I'll shield you." Before she could respond, Min-ho's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen and cursed under his breath. "Dispatch is outside your building. They've already figured out Tosen is here. If she walks out, it'll be chaos." Tosen's blood ran cold. "I can't go back to campus like this." Everyone already looks at me like I don't belong. Now they'll think I'm some manipulative parasite. Ji-hun stood abruptly, the chair legs screeching against the floor. He moved to the window, staring out at the swarm of cameras below. Then we don't deny it. Tosen blinked. What? He turned back, eyes blazing. We give them a bigger story. Something they can't twist. If Ji-hi wants a war, we'll hand her one. Her pulse spiked. You mean, pretend even harder? Yes, Ji-hun said, his voice sharp with decision. Appearances, outings, hand-holding, smiles. They'll choke on the image of us together. Tosen shook her head, panic rising. That's insane. I'm barely surviving this already. His expression softened for just a moment. I know. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. But if we don't, she wins. And you'll be crushed in the process. Tosen met his gaze, her heart racing. For the first time, she saw not just arrogance, but desperation, fear that went deeper than fame. She swallowed hard. Then we fight. Ji-hun's lips curved, not in a smirk but something sharper. Good. Outside, the cameras waited like wolves. Inside, a storm was brewing, one that would test not just their resolve, but the fragile line between truth and performance. The van slowed in front of the hospital gates, where balloons swayed in the late spring breeze. Photographers lined the sidewalk, lenses poised, as if the world hadn't slept in anticipation of this moment. Tosen smoothed the simple cream blouse Mina had insisted she wear. It was nothing flashy, but it clung to her like borrowed armor. Her sleek bun was immaculate, but her palms were clammy. She could already hear the shouts, the snapping shutters, the frenzy waiting outside. Ji-hun adjusted his jacket, his mask of calm perfection sliding into place. Remember, he murmured, not looking at her, don't flinch. Don't let them see you shake. I'm not your puppet, Tosen muttered, though her throat was tight. His lips curved faintly. Then don't do it for me. Do it for yourself. Show them you belong here. The door opened, and chaos erupted. Ji-hun. Ji-hun. Over here. Who is she? Tosen. Smile for the cameras. Ji-hun stepped out first, his aura commanding, then turned and offered his hand. Tosen hesitated for half a heartbeat before placing hers in his. The crowd gasped. The flashes doubled. Together, they walked toward the hospital entrance, his arm sliding firmly around her waist. Inside, the world shifted. Children filled the lobby, their laughter echoing as they clutched toys and balloons. The harshness of cameras softened in the space. Reporters were allowed only at a distance. The rest of the event was about the kids. Tosen's heart eased as she knelt beside a little girl with 4 tubes in her tiny arm. The girl's eyes widened as Tosen handed her a stuffed rabbit. For you, Tosen said softly. The girl grinned, clutching it tightly. Gamawo Yini. Ji-hun crouched beside them, his polished image cracking just slightly as he ruffled the girl's hair. You're strong, he told her gently, and for the first time, Tosen saw the man behind the idol, warm, human, unguarded. Cameras clicked discreetly from across the room, capturing the moment. But Tosen barely noticed. For once, the spotlight didn't matter. Later, as they moved between wards, Ji-hun leaned close. You're good at this, he said quietly. Tosen blinked. At what? At being seen, he replied. You don't just stand beside me. You shine. Her cheeks heated, but she rolled her eyes. Don't start flattering me now. You're still insufferable. He smirked, but his gaze lingered longer than it should have. When the event ended, the crowd outside roared louder than ever. Headlines were already writing themselves. By the next morning, Tosen's name was everywhere. Her phone buzzed nonstop with notifications, Mina scrolling furiously beside her at the dorm desk. Headlines splashed across every news feed. J1 and girlfriend bring joy to Children's Hospital. Mystery foreign girlfriend wins hearts at charity event. Fans divided, angel or opportunist. Mina grinned, spinning the tablet toward Tosen. Look! Hashtags. Hashtag Tosen Yuni is trending. People are actually calling you graceful. Some even said you looked like a queen with that bun. Tosen frowned, still skeptical. And the other half? Mina hesitated, then sighed. Hashtag Ji-hun belongs with Ji-hi. And some of the Say-seeing fans are furious. They're saying you staged the hospital visit to manipulate people. Tosen groaned, dropping her head into her hands. I smiled at sick children, Mina. How could anyone hate that? Because you're with him, Mina said gently. His world doesn't allow mistakes. Or outsiders. Meanwhile, in the glass fortress of Aurora Entertainment, Ji-hun sat across from Min-ho as the manager scrolled through the morning reports. The charity angle worked, Min-ho admitted. For now, investors are calmer. Sponsors are calling to praise your compassionate image. Ji-hun leaned back, his face unreadable. And the backlash? Min-ho sighed. Still strong. Ji's agency is fanning the flames, leaking stories about Tosen. But public sympathy for her is growing. If she plays this right, she'll win hearts. Ji-hun's jaw tightened. If she plays this right, he knew Tosen hadn't asked for this. She wasn't calculating strategies like the rest of them. She was surviving. Keep an eye on Ji-hi, Ji-hun ordered. If she moves again, I want to know. Back at campus, Tosen walked into her lecture hall to find dozens of eyes glued to her. But this time, the whispers were different. She's even prettier in real life. Did you see how she held that little girl? She's kind. Maybe she isn't using him after all. The shift was subtle, but Tosen felt it. For the first time in weeks, the stares didn't sting as deeply. She sat straighter, her chin lifted. Still, not everyone was convinced. Near the back, a group of students snickered. Give it a month. He'll dump her. Tosen clenched her jaw but didn't respond. Let them talk. That evening, back at the penthouse, she found Ji-hun in the rehearsal room again, drenched in sweat, moving like he could outrun his own shadow. You don't stop, do you? Tosen asked softly. He paused, breath ragged, then looked at her. Neither do you. Their eyes held for a moment, heavy with things neither dared say. Then Ji-hun's phone buzzed. He answered, listened, and his expression darkened. What is it? Tosen asked. His jaw clenched. Ji-hi's planning a press conference. She's going public. Tosen's stomach dropped. About us. Ji-hun's gaze hardened, his voice like steel. About you. The news broke like wildfire. By noon, every screen in Seoul was tuned to CO Ji-hi's live press conference. Reporters crowded the stage, their flashes lighting up her flawless figure as she stepped to the podium, draped in an ivory gown that screamed elegance. Thank you for coming, Ji-hi began, her voice sweet yet sharp. I've remained silent for too long, but I can't watch the man I care for be manipulated. Tosen sat frozen in the penthouse living room, the TV's glow painting her face pale. Mina was perched beside her, clutching a pillow to her chest. Oh no, she's about to go nuclear. Ji-hi pressed a hand dramatically to her chest. I know Ji-hun better than anyone. He's kind, generous, but also vulnerable. Recently, he's been targeted by someone who wants to use him. A foreign student. The reporters erupted. Cameras zoomed. Ji-hi lowered her eyes as if in sorrow. I have evidence, screenshots, witnesses, that she demanded money to keep their relationship quiet. She threatened his reputation. She doesn't love him. She loves the fame. Tosen's breath hitched. That's a lie, she whispered, but her voice cracked. Mina's face twisted in fury. She's twisting the whole narrative. This is character assassination. On screen, Ji-hi dabbed at an invisible tear. Ji-hun deserves better. Korea deserves better. The room exploded with questions. Is the relationship real? Are you saying she's blackmailing him? Do you want Ji-hun back? Ji-hi gave a practiced sigh. I only want what's best for him. And this isn't. The feed cut to reporters outside, already speculating wildly. The hashtags surged instantly. Hashtag Ji-hun deserves better. Hashtag Tosen out. Hashtag protect J1. Tosen's phone buzzed violently. Hate poured in faster than she could read it. Parasite. Gold digger. Leave Korea. Her chest caved, and she shoved the phone away, curling forward on the couch. I can't do this, Mina. I can't breathe. She's turning everyone against me. Mina gripped her shoulders. Hey, look at me. This is what they do. Twist stories until people can't see straight. But you know the truth. Ji-hun knows the truth. The door slammed open. Ji-hun stormed in, still in his stage clothes, his expression like a storm about to break. You watched it, he said flatly. Tosen nodded, her throat raw. She's destroying me. His eyes burned, his jaw locked tight. No. She's destroying me through you. And I won't allow it. She blinked up at him, searching his face. What are you going to do? Ji-hun stepped closer, his voice low, deliberate. Fight back. Not with silence. Not with pretending. With the truth. Tosen's heart thudded painfully. The truth. His hand tightened into a fist at his side. If Ji-hi wants war, then Seoul will hear my side. Our side. For the first time, Tosen saw not the idol, not the performer, but the man underneath, furious, protective, unshaken. And though the storm terrified her, a dangerous thought flickered in her chest. Maybe she wasn't standing in it alone anymore. Aurora Entertainment's auditorium had never been so packed. Cameras lined every aisle, flashes igniting like firecrackers. Reporters jostled for position, their voices blending into a restless hum. The anticipation was electric. At the center of the stage, Ji-hun stepped up to the podium. Dressed in a simple black suit, his hair neatly styled, he looked every bit the idol, polished, untouchable. But his eyes burned with something raw. Thank you for coming, he began, his voice calm yet sharp enough to silence the room. There have been rumors, lies, accusations. I won't let them go unanswered. The crowd leaned forward. Ji-hun's jaw tightened. Seo Ji-hi claims Tosen Ji-hi. He paused, letting her name echo across the hall. Is using me. That she demanded money. That she doesn't care for me. A murmur rippled through the room. Reporters scribbled furiously. Ji-hun leaned into the microphone, his voice low but steady. Let me be clear. Every word is false. Tosen has never asked me for anything. Not money. Not fame. Not even kindness. The audience gasped softly at the weight of his words. When we met, it wasn't calculated. It wasn't staged. It was reckless. A dare, she told me later. His lips curved faintly, though his eyes stayed hard. But it was real. For the first time in years, someone touched me without fear, without expectation. And he hesitated, the mask slipping. I couldn't forget it. The reporters erupted. Are you saying you have feelings for her? Is this a confession? Ji-hun, are you in love? Ji-hun didn't flinch. His gaze cut straight through the flashing cameras. Yes, I care for Tosen. More than I should. More than I ever intended. Chaos exploded. Reporters shouted over one another. Microphones shoved forward. Headlines writing themselves in real time. At the back of the hall, watching on a private feed, Tosen's breath caught. Her chest tightened, so painfully she pressed a hand against it. He said it. He actually said it. Ji-hun Ray's Aurora Entertainment's auditorium had never been so packed. Cameras lined every aisle, flashes igniting like firecrackers. Reporters jostled for position, their voices blending into a restless hum. The anticipation was electric. At the center of the stage, Ji-hun stepped up to the podium. Dressed in a simple black suit, his hair neatly styled, he looked every bit the idol, polished, untouchable. But his eyes burned with something raw. A hand, commanding silence. His voice dropped lower, firmer. Tosen doesn't need my protection, though she has it. She doesn't need my validation, though she has that too. What she needs is to be left alone by people who confuse jealousy with truth. She is not my weakness. She is my strength. The words struck like lightning. The auditorium stilled, stunned. Reporters recovered quickly, shouting again. What does this mean for your career? Are you officially dating? Will you continue to see her? Ji-hun stepped back from the podium, his expression unreadable once more. Ask what you will. I've said what matters. The rest is noise. With that, he turned and strode off stage, leaving the hall in chaos. Back at the penthouse, Tosen sat trembling on the couch, Mina clutching her arm. The city outside roared with headlines, hashtags exploding across every screen. But inside, Tosen whispered to herself, her lips barely moving. He cares. He actually cares. And for the first time, she feared her own heart more than the world outside. Seoul had not slept since Ji-hun's words shook the nation. His confession looped across every broadcast, every phone screen, every corner cafe. J1 admits feelings for mystery girlfriend. K-pop idol breaks silence, defends Tosen Ji-hi. Nation's boyfriend no more. or more real than ever. The world debated, dissected, divided. But in the penthouse high above the city, the storm felt both distant and suffocating. Tosen stood by the window, watching the neon glow smear across the glass. Her reflection looked both stronger and more fragile than she remembered. She touched her lips, still echoing with the weight of his words. I care for Tosen, more than I should. The door clicked shut behind her. She didn't need to turn to know it was Ji-hun. His footsteps were steady, deliberate. You broke the world today, she whispered, still facing the skyline. He stopped a few feet away. It was already breaking. I just chose where the cracks would go. Tosen turned, her eyes searching his. Do you realize what you've done? Your career, your fans, your image. Ji-hun's jaw tightened, but his gaze didn't waver. For once, I don't care about the image. I care about the truth. And the truth is you. Her breath caught. She wanted to believe him, wanted to lean into the warmth of those words. But fear coiled in her chest. I didn't come here for this, Ji-hun. I came to study, to honor my father's dream. Now I'm the headline everyone debates. I'm the foreigner they want to erase. He closed the distance, his hand lifting to cup her cheek gently. And yet, despite all of that, you're still here. Do you know what that makes you? Her voice was a whisper. What? Stronger than me. Tears stung her eyes. She hated that he could undo her so easily, hated that his walls had become her battlefield. But beneath the hate was something deeper, something undeniable. I don't know if I can survive this, she admitted, her voice trembling. His thumb brushed her cheek. Then let me survive it with you. The words silenced the doubts screaming in her head. For once, it wasn't about strategy or image. It wasn't about contracts or survival. It was just him, Ji-hun, not J1, and her, standing at the edge of something terrifying and infinite. She let out a shaky laugh. You're impossible. His lips curved faintly. So are you. And then he kissed her. Not for cameras. Not for fans. Not for strategy. For them. It was slow, steady, deliberate, a vow written in silence. Tosen melted into it, her hands curling into his shirt as the neon city pulsed below them. When they broke apart, Ji-hun rested his forehead against hers. The world will keep shouting, but let them. For once, I choose us. Tosen closed her eyes, letting the words anchor her. The storm outside might never fade, but here, in this fragile, dangerous truth, she had found her place. Together, under Seoul's endless sky, they chose each other. Forever. Thank you so much for staying with us till the very end of the story. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and leave a comment below. We'd love to hear the lessons you learned and your thoughts on how we can continue improving to give you the very best. Here at Moonlit Stories, every tale is crafted with passion, care, and dedication. Our mission is simple: to entertain, inspire, and connect us all across cultures and hearts. So, keep the conversation alive in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new episode. Till next time, we are Moonlit Stories, bringing you amazing tales that touch hearts and spark imaginations. Stay blessed. Stay inspired. See you in the next story.